Shalom, everyone, and welcome back to Hanukkah Hotties with JQD Vancouver and Tribe 12. My name is Carmel Tanaka, and I'm the founder and executive director of JQD Vancouver, a Jewish queer and trans nonprofit dedicated to queering Jewish space and Jewifying queer space in Vancouver, BC, on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tseil-Waututh Peoples. For Hanukkah this year, we have the honor of partnering with Tribe 12, a Jewish nonprofit whose LGBTQIA+ programming is for anyone who wants to explore the intersectionality of Jewish and queer identities in Philadelphia, whose lands are cared for by the Lenape people, specifically of the Turtle Clan. If you do not know the land on which you live, work, and play, check out native-land.ca. For each day of the holiday of Hanukkah, we have a Hanukkah Hottie joining us to light their Hanukkah, or perhaps to share another tradition or two, and chit-chat about the wonderful things they do in life for the duration of the candles burning. For our eighth and final candle of Hanukkah Hotties, we are joined by Azra Silverstein, a queer Jewish tarot reader from Vancouver, who gives an uplifting, empowering tarot reading to give you insight into an area of your life. Azra brings a youthful energy and non-judgmental approach to her readings, allowing her to connect with a diversity of people, especially young adults who are exploring many pivotal personal and professional decisions. With a PhD focused on health equity, Azra brings a deep understanding of social justice issues to her readings and is guided by values of fairness, anti-racism, and decolonization. You can find out more at www.azrasilverstein.com. On Instagram, be sure to follow her at tarot.by.azra. Tuning in from Vancouver's West End, let's welcome Azra. Hello.
Hi, Carmel. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're able to join us. This is very exciting. I see your Hanukkah is ready to rock and roll. Would you like to lead us in lighting the candles for our final night?
Totally. And I'll just let people know that I'll be singing our blessings tonight using the feminized version. And I've been inspired by the Sidur HaKohanot, which is Jill Hammer and Teama Shear's Hebrew Priestess prayer book. So they're the heads of Kohenet, the Hebrew Priestess Institute. So yeah, maybe you'll hear the difference in my bruchot.
Love it. So exciting. Okay.
Brucha at Shechina, Eloteinu Ruach HaOlam, Asher Kidshatnu B'mitzvoteha, B'tzivatnu Lahadlik Ner, Shel Chanukah. Brucha at Shechina, Eloteinu Ruach HaOlam, She'asa Nisim Lavoteinu, Bayamim hahem bazman hazeh.
Beautiful. Amen.
It probably looks like, whoops, I'm lighting them backwards where you are, but forgive.
Oh, it actually has a really cool light bubbles happening right now. There's spheres of light around each one. It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah. You're beautiful.
Ah.
Whoopa! It is truly a Hanukkah Hottie.
Oh, I can't laugh or I'm going to blow them out. Hang on.
I'll laugh for you. How's that?
Okay. Good.
Beautiful. So you're here today because, Azra, you are a queer Jewish tarot reader, and I would love to know, what's the backstory? How did you get into tarot reading?
Well, honestly, okay, full disclosure, when I was about 16, I did have a little tiny deck of tarot cards, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. But, I didn't really know how to use it. So I had the cards, I had the little white book, and I just kind of put it away. There's no internet at that time or anything. And then, a couple years ago, I guess, my friend, we'd be out at a party, we'd be partying, go back to her place at night, and we'd sit around, and she said, hey, do you want to have your tarot cards read? And I was like, do I want to have my tarot cards read? Yes. Do you do that? And so she went out and she got her deck, and she had a book that she would read them, and she, put them out and did a reading for me. And the reading at the time was something that I was struggling with professionally, but, and the Four of Cups was the card that came out in relation to my question. And the Four of Cups is such a beautiful card. It's, there's a person who's like, wrestling with these three cups. Well, there's this one obvious cup in front of them. Anyways, it really resonated with me. She said, oh, there's something that's right in front of your eyes that you're not missing. And I thought about it and thought about it. And that card and that reading really shifted my perspective on my work situation. It opened something up. And I was so amazed at how tarot really was, had been so helpful at giving me guidance into something that I was wrestling with. And so, we would every once in a while do this. And then a couple years ago on Valentine's Day, my partner gave me a deck of tarot cards. And I was so excited. I opened it. It was the Everyday Witch tarot deck by Deborah Blake and Elizabeth Alba, two witches. It was my first deck that I read with. And I just took it that weekend. Most tarot decks, all of them, they come with a book, right? That it tells you about the cards and the inspiration behind them. And with tarot, the great thing is that it's not just about memorizing the cards, but when you look at the picture, that's the inspiration for the meaning. So every artist, gives a new meaning to these cards. So I just sat down, I looked at the cards, I read the book over a weekend, front to back, and that was it. I just closed my eyes and was able to see them all because the images resonated with me so much. It was such a great deck for me. So after that, it was just, that was it. I was hooked.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And I'm so happy you are hooked because you're doing some incredible work. And what I also love is how you're exploring the intersections between Judaism and tarot reading. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh my gosh, the connections go back so far to the origins. I think some of the origins of, the most popular deck, one of the ones that we know, the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which has 78 cards. But, this deck originated with the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn was like the group that, I guess the religious group that these tarot cards came out of, and there must have been some Jewish influence in them because when you look at these cards, and even there's 22 cards of the major arcana, and Rachel Pollack, who famous tarot thinker, who wrote 78 Degrees of Wisdom, who is a trans Jewish woman.
Love it.
And I'd heard all about Rachel Pollack, and then I had no idea that she was Jewish or that she was trans, and she actually used to do like some trans comics as well. Anyways, she points out that there are 22 major arcana cards, which correspond also to the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, which is really cool.
What? No way.
Yeah, right. Who knew? And there are also 4 suits of the tarot deck, which can also be corresponded to the 4 different worlds. And what's really cool about that is Mark Horn, who is another queer, he's a gay tarot reader who lives, I think he's actually in New York. Anyway, so his book, this came out last year, Tarot and the Gates of Light, A Kabbalistic Path to Liberation. But he talks about using the tarot deck to count the Omer in between Pesach to Shavuot, and this is what this whole book is about. And he talks about using the 4 worlds with Atzilut and the different some of the different cards, how this can help us think about themes to elevate ourselves higher spiritually as we move along that journey. So that's is another really cool connection. So when you look at the actual tarot cards themselves, it's just so obvious that there is some Jewish influence. For example, when I first picked up, because I had the Everyday Witch deck was my first deck. So I went to a tarot meetup and someone had the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And I flipped through it. And the first thing, I don't know if you'll be able to see this really well, but I looked at the card Temperance. So I don't know if you can, here's Temperance, but if you can see on this like angel-like figure's chest, there's 4 letters. It's Yud Hey Vav Hey. So I saw this and I was the only Jew and I was like, it's the Yud-Hey-Vav-Hey. I'm like, there's God's name on the tarot card. And nobody knew what I was talking about. So then here's the Wheel of Fortune, another major arcana card. So if you can see the letters,
there's Hebrew on there.
Yeah. And it's again, Yud-Hey-Vav-Hey. God's name in our tarot cards. And so also, if you look at the letters of tarot, T-A-R-O, if you look at them in another way, just like how they are in the High Priestess's scroll, if you can see there, it spells Torah. So, there's all kinds of, connections with tarot. And just a couple more things. I wanted to go for it. I know I'm doing a bit of a show and tell, but I mean, who else is going to be so excited about tarot and Jewish?
I mean, I can focus the attention here. How about I'll do that? I'm going to give you the floor. Here we go. Show and tell away.
Okay, so I just wanted to show. So I heard about this deck on Mark Horn, who I won a tarot reading from him. Not one, but I heard about this book, and like the first 40 people got a free Tree of Life reading from him using the Tree of Life spread. But I found out there about this other special out of print deck by Ron Feldman, and this is the back of the deck. So you can see there's the Tree of Life, the Kabbalistics, the 10 Sfirot. And this deck is, these are Kabbalah cards. So they're meant for actually looking at some of these intersections, and it can be a way to learn about Kabbalah. So this deck, these look different than the cards that I showed you before. They're not the same kind of pictures, but again, these would be really great to,
Oh, I think you've just accidentally muted yourself. There we go.
Oh, am I back?
Back on. Yeah.
Okay, great. Anyway, so these can be helpful to think about if you're contemplating the Sfirot in a deep way. And then, okay, the last thing that I wanted to show you on tarot and Judaism, I just have to give a shout out to these two people who are also queer graduates of the Hebrew Priestess Institute. So this is Rebecca Arab and Nomi Lamb. If you have not heard of Golden Dreams of Olam Haba, this is a day planner, a special day planner and Jewish calendar, and has all kinds of rituals and things. But one of the things when I first opened it, it also has a shout out, like for example, here's Cheshvan, and it has like astrological signs, Hebrew letters, and a tarot card associated with each of the Hebrew months, which I thought was really cool. And it's this one was Death for Cheshvan. And with death is a beautiful card about transformation. And so I just thought it's just so interesting how Jewish people in our diverse entry points into spirituality have really resonated with tarot. And these are just some examples of how I've encountered it in some of my tarot work.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I honestly didn't realize there were so many Jewish queer people involved in tarot. So I'm very curious to learn more. And I know that you've agreed to do a little wee demonstration to pull some cards today. I'm going to let you tell me what I need to do. Do I just sit here and wait?
Oh, okay. So first of all, so I'm just going to say, so I'm going to show you the deck that I'm not going to use, but I did just want to also, before I go to the deck that I am going to use, I just wanted to do a quick shout out to Christy C. Rhodes' Next World Tarot, which has, it's a queer tarot deck, and it has features, and it's a QPOC deck. So almost all cards of people are of people of color.
Yes.
And everybody is queer. Every single person is queer in this deck, and it's beautiful. She is a Cuban punk rock artist. Look at this, Revolution. This is the tower, and they're very social justice oriented. So I just wanted to just give a shout out. If you haven't heard of this deck, it's a really, really cool one. But the deck that I'm going to use for your reading today, which I'm very excited about, is the Light Seers deck. So this is a woman named Chris Ann, and these cards are, they're very vivid images, And they also have people of color in them as well. And I just want to say, you think it would be obvious, but there are a lot of tarot decks out there that don't have people of color. So I think it is really important to think about diversity in terms of race and also in terms of gender expression when you're looking at tarot decks, because it is really important that I think they resonate with people who we're doing readings for. So I'm going to use this Light Seers deck to do your reading. So usually what I do is I do a little shuffle, and then I usually will do a little meditation just to get ourselves in the headspace. But I think we won't need to do a meditation right now because we have our beautiful Hanukkah candles, and that was almost like a little meditation. So the next thing I would do is ask you, Carmel, do you have a particular area in your life that you're wrestling with, or that you'd like some insight into, or a question that's on your mind?
I have two. Should I pick one?
Yeah, why don't you tell them, tell me what they both are. Maybe we could
Okay,
start for
so
each.
one is, as you know, I'm job hunting, or I'm trying to get JQD off the ground so that I can actually pay rent and feed myself with the work that I'm doing for JQD. So that's one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one is I'm single and I'm looking for love, looking for a long-term relationship. So yeah, those are the two things.
Okay, those are super great. Okay, so let's take a look. So you've got two. So maybe we can do this. So let's take a look for what's gonna help you, and then what's gonna get in your way. And we'll do two cards, and we'll do two for your work and two for your love life.
Okay, I'm so ready.
Okay, so I'm shuffling my cards, and then I would get you to just you can close your eyes and think about your question. And you want to think about, what are some insights to help me navigate my professional and romantic life? And while you're doing that, I'm gonna cut the deck, and I'm using my left hand because the left hand is most closely connected to the side of your brain that is connected to your intuition. And then I'm just using my hand to draw 4 cards for you using my left hand. So now I've got the cards drawn, and I'm going to hold them up as I talk about them, and I'm going to put them down here. So we've got two cards for your profession and the 2 cards for your love life. So I'm going to turn them over, and I will see. Ooh, wow. Oh, okay. So we're going to start off. So for the profession, what I would do, I'll just say that we've got 4 cards, 2 8s. Wow, and 2 pentacles, and the High Priestess, which is the number 2. I'm going to show all of these to you in a second. But that number 2 that keeps coming up in pairs, that's a good sign if you're looking for a relationship. And even in your professional world, you might want to think about those relationships that you have with one other person. That can be the entry point into helping you get further along in your career. We have 1 major arcana card, the High Priestess, that's coming up in what might be getting in the way in the terms of your career, your profession. So you might want to do some work into kind of thinking about not just where you want to go, but what are the different ways you can transform yourself, and what are the things that you might need to navigate around, because we often don't think about that. We just kind of think about where we want to go when we think about our strengths. So, and the fact that you have 2 8s here, and 8s can be about manifestation, so making things happen. And I think that's important to remember too, as you move through your life, that you're, you have control over your future. And I should say with tarot cards, none of this is about like predicting the future. Everything can change. It just gives a snapshot into what the weather might be. So we're going to start off with the 8 of Swords. So here you are, and this is in what's going to help you in your profession. And here you see there's a woman in the mirror who's blindfolded and she's tied up, but here she's outside the mirror, so she's not actually that way. And this card is about how sometimes we're imprisoned in our own mind, but not you. What helps you in your career search is that there's no limitations. The sky is the limit when it comes to you. Even if there are actual real barriers in the reality, the material world, when it comes to what goes on in your head, you know that you have that amazing sense of freedom, and that's going to help you move your professional interests further along. So then I like that. Yeah. And so then we have this High Priestess, your major arcana card, and this is what's holding you back. And the High Priestess is an incredibly amazing card, all about your own intuition, that deep inner wisdom that you have inside yourself. And sometimes, it might be that, you trust yourself so implicitly and you trust your own gut that sometimes that could actually maybe sometimes get in the way of what needs to happen when you go forward. And so it's, how do you find that balance between what I feel on the inside, my intuition, and the opportunities that are out there? Sometimes we don't always know where we need to go against our intuition. So moving down to your love life, to how to get there. Wow. We've got the King of Pentacles. So when these court cards come up, these are a sign. These are often, sometimes they can be people in our lives. Like this could be, a person, or sometimes they can represent sides of our personality. And the kings are like leaders. They're people who give direction and point the way. And the King of Pentacles is, if you lined up all the tarot cards in a row, this guy would be at the very end. And this is all about ultimate security and someone who has like deep roots in the ground. When it comes to finding love, you have a real sense of knowing who you are and knowing what you want to leave after you in this world. So you don't have to worry about the insecurity of other things in your life. It means that if whoever you want to be with, you're not looking for the other person to provide for you, because you can provide for that for yourself. But you might want to look for someone. You could look for someone maybe like the King of Pentacles also, who is, and this is not to say this is not about gender, because this is more about looking for someone who's really solid, provides that direction. This is a really, kind of calm, wise person. And then what's gonna get in your way is Eight of Pentacles. It's your passion projects, Carmel, your work.
Oh, guilty as charged.
When you get so busy, caught up in your work, you don't even realize, where the time has gone, because you love it so much. But that sometimes that can get in the way of looking for love, because sometimes you got to put your work on hold. And anyone who's in a relationship and who has a tendency to be a workaholic, I'm not saying that you are, but maybe you are, I don't know. But if you are, you just want to think about how important it is to put the time and energy into finding love and cultivating that aspect of your life.
I am so glad that this is being recorded so I can go back to hear this over and over again, because I think I need to hear all of this. And it's come up in more than one way, not just in tarot reading, but from friends, through therapy, just in general, what I need to be doing to improve my situations, both in my professional life, but also in my personal life. And it just, I mean, like, I believe everything that you just said, because it's not that there's anything new there. There's a lot of similarities to and themes that are coming up and are consistently coming up. And I mean, this is real, folks. This is legit.
Well, sometimes with tarot, like, it's always amazing because I've done readings over email where I'm not even with the person, and I don't know how it works, like how the cards get chosen. But I do know that when we trust our intuition, which is what tarot is about, when we're able to kind of clear our mind, and when you put the cards out, whatever it is, that when it's coming to you and you see that resonating with other people, like how it resonates for you, that's what's really important, and that's what makes it meaningful. And the tarot is relational, so it's about the person who's reading, and it's about the person who's receiving it, like yourself. And if there's things in here that's resonating for you, then that's
100%. Yeah.
Well,
if anyone is interested in having a reading of their own with Azra Silverstein, I highly recommend it. And Azra's been very generous to give a free giveaway. So this is how it's going to work. If you were paying attention earlier, and you can't go back because this is live at the moment, but there's a trivia question, and here it goes. There were 2 tarot cards in the classic Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which have Hebrew on them. Azra mentioned them earlier. Be the first to name one of the tarot cards with Hebrew on it that were mentioned in our chat and win a free reading with the one and only Azra Silverstein. I'm going to repeat this. There are 2 tarot cards in the classic Rider-Waite-Smith deck which have Hebrew on them. Be the first to name one of the tarot cards with Hebrew on it in our chat, and you'll win a free reading with Azra Silverstein. I mean, you're so lucky. Like, we just got a glimpse of what you can offer. This is just a short little bit here. So I would imagine it would be incredible and life-changing.
Well, thank you so much, Carmel. And, you know, if there's anyone else too, like I'm so excited to do a reading for the lucky winner, and anyone else can free to get in touch with me. And I should mention, I also do readings at the Oracle in West Van, and I'm on their website as well. So you could find me there, or you can, you know, you could find me on my website. But I'm very excited to do a reading for a person who's been tuning in and from our community.
Oh, I absolutely love that. I'm going to segue into a slightly different area. I've been asking these questions of our Hanukkah Hotties throughout the week. And here is one of them. How are you queering Jewish space and Jewifying queer space?
Oh, well, I've done a lot of Jewish queer activism over the years. And I think by, you know, queerifying, there's a lot I could say, but maybe what I'll just say is queerifying Jewish space from my perspective is not just about the inclusion of queer people. It's about pushing ourselves to be inclusive of all kinds of people in our community who are on the outside, and being very supportive and inclusive of interfaith families is something that's really important to me. And it's something that I've witnessed. I think there is a lot of queer people who are in interfaith relationships and just in interrelationships. I know even for myself, you know, my partner and I, when we got married, it was very difficult for us to find someone who would marry us. We couldn't find a rabbi who would marry us, not because we were both women, but because they weren't Jewish. And so, you know, at first this was hugely upsetting, you know, for me and for us. And someone said to us once, you know, the problem isn't that you're both women. The problem is that they're not Jewish. And I thought, you know, that's not the problem. The problem is that our community isn't open enough. Our community is too exclusive. So I think there's lots of other ways and lots of other people and lots of ways that we can make ourselves more open and be reflexive as a community. I think we have a lot of work to do, especially in the area of racism, and especially anti-Black racism in particular in the Jewish community, which is really very Ashkenazi and white European centric. So I think I do see that as part of our work as queer people, as queer Jews, and also to pay attention to our role in decolonization, especially here in the diaspora, uncolonized indigenous territory. So those are some of the ways that I think about queerifying Jewish spaces. As for Jewifying queer spaces, I think there's also a lot of work that we could do, because I've seen over the years how a lot of queer people have beef with religion, have baggage with religion. And I have a lot of friends who've struggled with different religions, some people with Christianity in particular. And as a result, religion has left a really bad taste in a lot of queer people's mouths who I know. And so by being able to to talk about my experience with Judaism and being able to show how I've been able to find a way to have spirituality and religion in my life, that it might not be the way that was prescribed to my parents when they were younger, or even myself in some way, but to be able to show that openness and to show, you know, religion and spirituality is important to queer people as well. So I think having those conversations and doing it from a Jewish perspective, from my perspective, is one way of Jewifying queer spaces. So that's been important for me over the years.
Well, I've known you for a few years now, and I am just in awe of the amazing leadership that you bring, and the message of inclusivity in the Jewish community. And for the longest time, you know, I struggled to find other people who are like-minded, and you were one of the first, actually, that I was able to connect with and know, like, oh, this is another human being who gets it, who understands exactly what it's like for me as a Jew of color, and then as a queer Jew of color. So I think for me, I'm so happy that you have been who you are all this time, and I absolutely love you and adore you. So the last
Ditto.
question
Ditto.
is, how do you personally celebrate being Jewish and queer these days?
Oh gosh, how do I celebrate being Jewish and queer these days? Well, you know, I've been very interested into Jewish earth-based spirituality, and I've been really interested in exploring not just Jewish queerness, but also looking at, I've been exploring the Jew-witch community. I know that I've been, you know, that with the rise of the response to COVID, I guess, has kind of opened up new virtual spaces. So I've been very privileged to participate in some events with the Jew-witch Collective in California. And I've mentioned Kohenet a couple of times. So I've been very excited to take a number of courses with Jill Hammer. I'm actually taking a course on Faces of Shekhinah right now, which is really exciting. You know, I think any way that I can participate in learning and Kohenet has been very helpful to me. And even, you know, with Or Shalom, which is my Jewish community here, there's opportunities to sometimes participate in some way. And anytime I do that, I always have to bring in the queer part of that. Just to give a small example, I participated in leading a session on Tomer Devorah, which is a Kabbalistic text that we read, I guess, traditionally in Elul right before the high holidays. And I was able to, you know, I read the section that was about, you know, you shouldn't have lustful thoughts about your wife because it will lead to going astray, basically. And there was the symbol, there was a symbol of the rainbow, you know, like you should aim at your partner like as if like a rainbow, and with some allusions, I think, towards actually ejaculation with this kind of bow situation. But I was able to talk about it saying, well, this text is pointing to the rainbow, which is the ultimate symbol of queer pride. And if we want to look at sexual ethics, we need to look at, you know, to queer and trans communities. And I was able to talk about things like polyamory and the concept of compersion and the kink community and the concept of consent, and also to talk about asexual people and emotional intimacy. And so I was able to bring this into a Jewish context. So all those ways are some recent ways that I've been looking at queerness and Jewishness and bringing them together.
It's beautiful, and I can't wait to continue collaborating with you as well. We've got some projects in the works, so it's great. Absolutely great. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we conclude?
I guess I just want to say, you know, this is in this time of Hanukkah where we are focusing on the lights and the light and the darkness. How I hope that I wish that everyone can find the light in the darkness in their lives. And I think darkness, exploring the shadow side, has a lot to offer. And when we're able sometimes just to shine a little bit of a light in there, that contrast between the what is bright and those shadow places in our life can be so important. And I, you know, wish everyone to have a meaningful holiday, you know, reflecting on the light and the darkness in their life. And I'm so excited and so grateful to have been invited. And all of this work with JQD and everyone who is involved in this is doing so much for our community, and I cannot thank you enough. So I'm looking forward to working with you more, Carmel, and I'm looking forward to doing the tarot reading with whoever that person is. I cannot wait.
Yes, cannot wait as well. Well, many thanks to Azra for joining us today on our 8th and final candle of Hanukkah Hotties with JQD Vancouver and Tribe 12. Be sure to follow her work on Instagram at tarot.by.azra. Thank you to all of our Hanukkah Hotties over the past 8 days. You're all incredible. I literally cannot believe we are finishing today and this is our last one. Thank you to our partner organization, Tribe 12, all the way in Philly. You can also follow us on social media. Now, our LA friends over at JQ International, we had Arya Marvasi, their manager, come on as one of our Hanukkah Hotties earlier this week. So JQ International are inviting us to join their annual Hanukkah party, Guilty Pleasures 2020. I absolutely love this title. Anyways, it's happening very soon in half an hour at 6:30 p.m. So for those who are looking to keep the party going, you've got drag queen bingo to look forward to. Now, thank you for tuning in. We've actually reached over 2,300 views and counting every day. There's hundreds more watching our videos on Facebook and on YouTube. This is completely mind-blowing to us. We are just so moved that this has resonated with so many people and that you've been able to celebrate Hanukkah together with us at all different hours of the day, depending on where you're tuning in from. So let's keep building this community, this beautiful community together, showing up authentically, celebrating our true selves, and being proud of our Jewish and queer and then some identities. Happy Hanukkah and Chag Hanukkah Sameach.